Welcome to YSM Conversations, a gathering place for women who sense something deeper is calling. Together, we believe that the most profound adventures begin within, and that when women gather in deep conversation, something ancient and necessary awakens.
Open the door to a new conversation through generative listening, weaving together generations of wisdom and listening beyond the ears to restore the intelligence your body has always carried and integrate soulfulness into the adventure of your life. This is restoring and connecting to the deeper current running beneath it all.
We are YSM Conversations. Welcome home.
Hello and welcome back to YSM Conversations. I'm Victoria McMahon. It's good to be with you, Danielle. It's good to have conversation with all of you. We're just riffing a bit today. We were talking a few minutes before we started our recording, and we started talking about the idea of a puzzle, the pieces of a puzzle, and how you start out to create your puzzle by doing the edges, the frame, or the foundation of it. Then you'll have puzzle pieces strewn all around the borders. And how funny it is that one might fall on the floor or get lost in the box somewhere and you didn't even take it out. We started seeing the shape of what a puzzle is to how we see ourselves in life. And this notion that we're a puzzle piece within the entire puzzle, just like we're a human being within the totality of all beings and consciousness that created all beings. How we listen for what it is we are here to do, what we're here to be and to have in this life experience. How we may see ourselves within the full collective and how we may notice ourselves as separate from the collective consciousness and how that can show up in nuanced ways. So Danielle pointed out to me how we may not even realize that we're separating ourselves from the collective, what that might look like or feel like, and if we're noticing or not noticing, and how it is if others are noticing or not noticing as well. Anything come to you?
I'm very excited to be back with you in our field of YSM, Victoria. The couple of pieces that are coming up just as a starter for me, as you were talking about the puzzle metaphor, my brain is in full puppy mode, full pet mode, because I just got a puppy since the last time that we recorded, learning to train her, as well as what my cats do when I'm actually doing a puzzle in the living room. Both of them create their own spaces or feel safer when they do have a space. And one of the things that sparked our conversation today is, Victoria, you were talking about the puzzle piece and another experience with a yoga studio and saying, give them their place or have everything have its place. I know that's something that you strive for in your practice, in your life, just giving everything its place, whether it's a person or an emotion or an experience. And I think that is such a strong foundation for what we're talking about today, because we're all longing for our place. We're all looking for somewhere that we feel like we belong. That's a sense of safety that provides for us. Coming back to the dog and the cats, when our dog doesn't have a leash on and is down in an open area, she gets a zoomies. She goes crazy. She's exploring everything. And in some ways, that's amazing. So she can explore and have fun. And at the same time, it can be really scary and create the sense of, I don't have any boundaries, so I'm just going to explode. Whereas when she has a leash on her, it's okay, I know where my safe space is. I'm okay here. Even if she pulls on it, even if she tugs, she has a place. And with the cats in the puzzle, where do cats always like to go? Boxes. So when the lid of the puzzle is on the ground or on the couch, where are the cats? Sitting politely in the box. They all have their own place. And I think it's that sense of safety that pulls us as humans to take ourselves outside of the puzzle, not because we necessarily want to be outside of the puzzle of the collective, but because we want that space to belong that feels safe for us. So we remove ourselves in order to create that safe space for ourselves. And in so doing, maybe create some safety in that one little corner, but not safety within the collective and not feeling connected within the collective.
It brings me into the generative listening that we're exploring. This notion of to pull myself out of the collective. Can I really do that? Is that really possible? I might think I've pulled myself and separated myself out, but yet what we've always talked about is the underlying glue, the webbing of everything is part of the whole field of our consciousness that our mind has separated, or we've chosen to pull ourselves out physically, but yet we're still in. Even though we're not thinking of being in, we're still in, and we're still feeling or rippling back from that place in ourselves.
And how many times have you been doing a puzzle and you have the edges pretty much set up? And then you're working on the outside of those edges on one little piece. Maybe it's based on a color. Maybe there's an image that you can identify pretty easily. And you're building and you have a little blob of pieces that fit together. And you're looking for that next piece to put in. You've looked through all the pieces in the puzzle box that are remaining, and you can't find that piece. And then when you sit back and you're like, I need to take a break, you see on the other side of the puzzle that's already within the collective. That's the piece you were looking for. And then you're like, oh, that's where this outside part goes. And then it's funny, I had that smile moment in there as I was talking about the piece of the puzzle because it's PIECE, but then it's also once you find the piece, and there's the piece, PEACE.
Peace.
And it lands collective, that new that you were talking about.
And that sense of that belonging, the part of multiple pieces formed within the greater whole as well. Oh, that's my community that I choose to create. That little blob, it feels like my community. And I might have 2 or 3 different communities that I'm a piece within. And then always within the whole puzzle, whether I'm outside of the boundary of it or within and attached to it, that we're never not in the whole. Our thinking can have us perceive that we're not a part of. And that's interesting to me of how do we work with this notion of that listening, that way that we listen, that gives us access to knowing when we do really feel a part of, and when we have pulled ourselves out because our thinking mind thinks that we don't belong here, and how they're very different emotions attached to the circumstance we have found ourselves in.
I love this puzzle metaphor too, as you're talking about which one would you rather be a part of? Do you want to be part of a community or a collective that demands that you choose one or the other location? Or do you want to be part of a collective and a community and a sense of self where all are true? With the puzzle piece, it's like, would you rather have 8 groups saying, no, you belong over here, or you're supposed to be over there and you're not supposed to be over there? Or would you rather have all 8 of those and including yourself be like, oh, we all come together here and you share those boundaries, you share those circles with each other. And there's no this or that. It's just we're all here and we're all making this whole.
We lose sight of we are within the wholeness innately, and our thinking mind gets us caught up in we're not that.
And it's fun that you say the thinking mind because I think it's also the survival mind that labels things for survival purposes of safe, not safe. We move around the world with those categorizations as a survival mechanism, literally to make sure that our bodies survive. And in the social worlds, it makes it more difficult because those categorizations create separations. We lose sight of the wholeness that we came into this world with. through our consciousness. And it's funny because it's like the consciousness precedes the biology and the survival aspect of it. So now we come back to not the base biology, but the base wholeness, which is that consciousness. And now I'm just saying words.
No, no, I think you're saying more. And it feels like is we end up finding ourselves caught in a thinking mode. Sometimes we recognize it and sometimes we're in it. We have not been able to observe how we're in it until we start observing it. And what I'm appreciating about the here or there, where do I belong, is that there's no right answer. I think it's Thich Nhat Hanh, wherever you go, there you are. It's more of the, where do I find myself in this moment? And how do I be from where I see myself? That capacity to pay attention enough to see what I'm interested in generating. Am I interested in this moment being in a collective mode and expressing in a community space? Am I expressing from my individual sovereign space, where some of the pieces of the work that I want to do that is solely from my own soul wants to generate from that space within me? And as a unique puzzle piece, I'm also doing it on behalf of being a part of the collective, like putting myself into the whole puzzle itself. So I'm present as a piece in the puzzle, and I'm present to the other pieces of the puzzle.
That's where the magic can happen of inviting people into this mindset of being part of that collective puzzle rather than in so many different circles where it's like, this is the only place. And in extreme cases, you need to cut off communication and connection with anyone who's outside of the circle because they don't understand or like they're not good for you. It's that separation and the cutting off and the extreme belonging, which is very interesting, of like one circle where this is the only place that you belong. We understand you, we love you, you stay right here. That causes the separation and also just perpetuates the outsideness by creating more outsideness for everyone who's outside of the circle.
The word that came in for me is we create otherness.
Whereas I hesitate to call it the new way of being in community because this has been around for so long of being able to witness the wholeness. Maybe the next evolution of collective community or global community is that invitation into seeing the wholeness and seeing the belonging within all of the puzzle rather than the belonging in this extreme case of only this center, and realizing that once we have that belonging within ourselves, then we belong everywhere. The wholeness is within and the belonging is within, and the separation dissolves.
Sit with what just moved through. We'll meet you in the next one. Thank you for diving deep with us into generative listening. If this episode stirred something in you, subscribe to keep restoring with us. And if someone came to mind while you were in your own generative listening, share this episode with them. Because when women gather, something ancient and necessary awakens.
We are YSM Conversations, connecting back to the deeper currents on behalf of seeding our next collective wholeness.